Hello everyone. Welcome to chapter 141 of The Last Thoughts of a Busy Mind. This one titled Time is Finite, and I treat it as infinite. Now, there is a mental thing in my head as I read that title that I've written in my notebook. I want to say time is finite, and I treat it as infinite, but that's wrong. That wouldn't be correct. Nope, it's infinite because English language pronunciations are fucking insane. Anyways, let's get down to it. I am recording this at around 11:20 a.m., which I know is not as late as some of my last episodes, but I have a very busy day today. My drink today is cherry syrup, sour cherry syrup, and water. It tastes great. And with that said, let's get down to business. To defeat the Hans. There's actually a thing going in my head about musicals, but I'm not going to talk about that because I have something else to talk about. That is that in the last 26 and 11 months of living as a human male, and heavy quotation marks around human and male, I've learned one thing. I suck, and I mean suck, at time management. I genuinely do. And if there was a week to prove that to me, it was this week that I had. The problem is that I have poor time management because I grossly underestimate things. For example, I believe that, for going from place A to place B, it's gonna take 30 minutes. It takes an hour and a half then. And then while I sit, because of, it took me an hour and a half to get to somewhere, I just feel drained, and because of that I just sit for like 20 minutes doing nothing, and then realize, I'm behind on my other stuff that I needed to do. For example, I needed to write this, I needed to do that, and because of all of these combined forces, I end up missing a lot of my to-do list. For example, for this week, I was hoping to have at least two sections of my script finished for a video, or write a pilot like episode for another show that I had in mind. I didn't do any of them because I poorly managed my time, and I was incredibly busy for the past 3 days. And by the way, when I'm done recording this and uploading it and publishing it, I probably am leaving the house to go and do more of the stuff that I want to talk about my movies. My movie. So movies, as if there are multiple. My movie, which is in production right now, and I need to manage and handle it with care, because I am not only the director, I'm not only the writer, I'm also half producing it myself. Thankfully, I have a great producer who is helping me, and I have a good team that is helping me, but at the same time, I need to manage the production as well. So, because of that, I couldn't be able to do any of the stuff that I talked about. And I'm not gonna lie, some of it was because at that point I was, I played a little bit of board games this week, and I needed that, like, mentally. But again, that is part of the time management as well. I overestimate how much time I have, which is, I treat it as infinite, as if time is like a resource that will never end, and that is not true. Time is literally the resource that even if you do nothing, you will run out of it, because it stops for no one. And because of that, I reached the end of the week, which is Friday, and I haven't done any of the stuff that I wanted to do, or any of the stuff that I had to do, because I so poorly managed it. Um, I also overestimate my own energy and my drive, and because of that, for like, I feel like, I'm gonna, okay. On Wednesday, I hadn't slept for 30 hours, around 30 or 31, 2 hours before I slept. And by the end of it, I was dead. But I had planned it, like, I was freshly invigorated, and because of that, there was a lot of dead time there. And that's another thing. I have a lot of dead time because my commute, I can't read while the car is moving. I used to be able to, but I can't right now because I, I don't know. I get a headache and my eyes keep drifting. So because of that, I just usually just listen to music and I watch basically Freshy Canal rap videos, battle rap videos, um, which I've seen like 1,000 times at this point. And because of that, like an hour and a half that it takes me, especially right now when it's snowing, by the way, it's snowing finally. It's February 2nd and it's fucking snowing finally. Not enough. I need more. I need a fucking lot of more. I don't know what I said. I need a lot more. But as I was saying, Jesus. Uh, because so poorly manage my time, I. What I was saying. Sorry, if it's not obvious, I haven't slept well last night. I slept for like 5 hours and I'm tired and I can't sleep because after doing this, I need to go out of the house and meet with my friend and talk about my movie again. And I'm so fucking tired. I'm so fucking tired. I'm so tired. Anyways, as I was saying, for example, I have an hour and a half commute, probably also today, to go from the house to anywhere in Tehran because the traffic is a mess, and because usually I have at least a backpack filled with the stuff that when I walk, it's gonna break my back. I need to go by car. I need to take a ride, and that creates a moment where, like, for an hour and a half, I don't do anything, just thinking about other stuff probably, and that's it. And I call that dead time because it is dead time. And when I'm doing that hour and a half, I'm thinking, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done X, I should have done Y, and I haven't done any of them, and that is not good. Honestly, it is not very good. I feel like again I'm losing time, and because I don't understand how time works exactly, because I don't understand it's going to take me an hour and a half to commute, I plan my days incredibly poorly, and then when I miss those appointments, for example, when I missed writing the section of the script, even though I thought about a lot of it while in those dead commutes, and I just need to sit down, have the time, and write it, but I can't. I just feel guilty. And because I feel guilty, I go to my defense mechanism, which is usually either overeating or just sleeping, a lot of sleeping or lying down. And that means I lose more time and also gain a much unhealthier addiction to other stuff. And then that leads to me missing more stuff and then feeling more guilt. And much like everything else in my life that I've talked about on this show, it's a cycle. It's a destructive cycle. And I am actively perpetuating it by not being, and this is too, flexible. I know that there is a physical joke there because I'm a very big guy and a very large guy. I'm quite fat and overweight, and I'm not very flexible. So I know there is a fat joke somewhere hidden in there. I don't mind fat joke myself. Genuinely, if you're doing a fat joke, I'm thinking it's the funniest thing you've ever done. You are just bad at comedy. I feel like you should try harder a little bit, but I don't mind them. Like I don't feel insulted by them because I just feel sad. Like, haven't you evolved from fat jokes only? But I make them myself as well. So there's a fat joke to be made around not me not being flexible, and I'm not. I'm not flexible. I am kind of rigid, and because of that, uh, and the fact that I have OCD, um, when I don't adhere to these incredibly rigid time frames or goals, I start to feel guilty and I start to feel anxious, and they just compound and create more bad feelings for me to go on with. And that is honestly a good summary of the week that I had. I'm not saying it wasn't fun. Like, there were times I had fun. I played a lot of board games with my friends, and we talked about the movie. The movie is actually not going super badly. It's actually going quite good, and everything feels like it should work in some way. And I think they do. I think they do. But Jesus, I'm sorry. As I said, I do feel a little bit guilty. Sorry about that. I completely lost my train of thoughts there. But yeah, that's the week that I had. It was not flexible. I completely poorly managed my time. I didn't manage to do a lot of the stuff that I needed to do. And because some of it was unforeseen, some of it was just poorly planned. For example, I needed to write my notebook, the notebook that will be used in the movie, part of the prop. But my fountain pen was out of commission because I hadn't used it for a year and there was dried ink in it. So I couldn't do it that day, and I needed to set a day aside to just deal with that. And you need to, oh, by the way, if genuine tip, I thought everyone knew this, but apparently they don't. If your fountain pen is clogged with ink, just remove the tip section, put it in a cup of water for like 12 hours, then pull it out and let it dry, and then it should work. It genuinely does work for a lot of old phantom. For example, if you have one that you haven't used for like 2, 3, or 4 years, don't just push ink through it, because sometimes that is not the right way to go. Sometimes that is the really wrong way for it, because it cannot move through the dried ink. And if you have like one of those pump things and you push the ink through, it won't work well afterwards. You just need to do the water thing, and it does work. It genuinely does work. Just a tip there for you if you didn't know, because honestly, I genuinely thought everybody did, but I told it to my friend, and she said she didn't know that. Uh, my dad actually taught me that trick, and yeah, it apparently works. So I couldn't do that. I missed doing that on my to do list, and because of that, I went back into the cycle of watching just YouTube video, keeping my brain busy so I don't think about that guilt and overeating. Because of that, I didn't do a couple of other things on my to do list, and then I felt guilt over that, and then it just became a whole thing. And the last few days, meaning Wednesday, Thursday, and today, which is Friday, just showed me the extent of my poor planning. Because yesterday, I was constantly in commute. There were like, I think on Thursday, I spent around 4 to 5 hours just on commute. And that is not good when you plan your days with 8 hours sleeps, which I didn't. I had 12 hours of sleeps because the day before that I hadn't slept for 30 hours. 12 hours of sleep, 5 or 6 minutes. That's 5 or 6 hours around that. That's around 17 to 18 hours of the day gone. And what remains is around 7 hours at best. And I've planned that day like I had like 13 hours to work with. And because that didn't happen, a lot of stuff happened, but my day kind of dragged into 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and then 5 a.m., and then I didn't sleep until 5 a.m. Then I slept. I woke up at 10 a.m., had to come back to house to record this podcast because I couldn't do this last night. I mean, I said yani. I said Persian words. That's how fucked up my mental health is right now. Which I mean, I couldn't do it around like 1 a.m. because I needed to leave the house at that point. I came home, record this. I probably will be late when I get to meet my friends and talk about the movie. And in the meantime, I mean, between right now when I finish recording this in around 4 minutes to going to my appointment, I need to take a shower. I need to organize my uh, gifts that I've wrapped before that I need to get to my friends. I need to get some stuff ready that I need to give to my friend who is gonna help me with my movie. And if and I need to also uh, organize my bag, the backpack that I'm gonna go, so they don't miss anything. All of this within the next hour and a half, and at the same time, I need to work on this episode, meaning I need to get the video ready for YouTube. Which, by the way, if you listen to this on YouTube, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and all of that, because doing that it really does help with it being pushed. And as much as I talk about I don't care about this show getting views, I kind of do, because I am a little bit vain like that. And yeah, I kind of do. Sorry, that's just, I'm being completely honest here. And doing all of that, like I need to work on this episode, get the video ready, write the description, publish it, put it in the channel. And while all of this is going on, I have other social commitments. I need to spend time with my girlfriend, which haven't done that much in the week, and it is hurting me because I do love her and I do want to spend time with her. And that actually helps me mentally as well, because when I'm with her, I'm feeling much calmer, and when I'm not, I'm feeling more anxious. And when I'm more anxious, it takes me more time to do stuff. And as you see, I'm spiraling. I am spiraling, and I can't seem to find a way to the end of it. And while all of this is happening, with all of this, I look around me, and my room is a war zone. It feels like at least a couple of nuclear bombs have gone off here, because there is stuff everywhere. Aside from stuff for the movie, which I've actually managed to organize relatively, and that is a big relative, to one corner of the room under the desk, which means I can sit behind my desk. I'm sitting on my bed right now recording this. Um, there is stuff everywhere. My towel is on the chair. My backpack is full, and I haven't emptied it yet because I just couldn't find the time or the energy to do so. So yeah, the gist of it is time is finite. Time is a resource that can get out of hand easily. And when you're as anxious as me, when you are as OCD and as rigid as me, I believe you need to find flexibility. And that is the goal going forward. I know I've made grand gestures before on this show and I haven't stick to them, but this is something that I really genuinely believe I need to keep in mind. I need to be more flexible. I need to I don't need to make goals that are like, oh, do this definitely. I need to make priority lists. I like, okay, do this, but if you feel like this is something so big that you can't do it right now, for example, if something unexpected happened, not writing in the notebook, okay, do this instead. Write one of the many, many, many other things that you need to write. Don't just sit and watch YouTube videos and eat a bag of chips because you feel like you've missed on your one deadline. Basically, that's what I need to do. I need to be more flexible, and I need to find and manage my time much better in the coming weeks, especially now with winter coming and with snowing. Commutes are going to take so much more time, so I need to condense everything and consolidate everything to like a few moments. Like, if I'm going to leave the house, I need to plan to do everything while I'm out of the house, because otherwise I can't be going and coming and doing all of that. And that's something I need to keep in mind. And if you're as anxious as me, if by listening to me you feel like, oh, I understand this guy, Flexibility is the key, I think. Time is finite, but you need to be flexible within that. Don't treat it like it's gonna go forever, because it's not. And I will see you, speaking of time, next week.